And I think that would be a milestone, right? All the innovations are coming in through game. That's a milestone. Another milestone is all of the improvement efforts are going through the portal, right? Any kind of improvement efforts are going through the 8-step to Marie and them have out on SharePoint. When do they come together? Because I think the idea state in my mind is that it doesn't matter if it's an idea, doesn't matter if it's an improvement, doesn't matter if it's an IG write-up, it doesn't matter. It's gonna go into game or cloud vector and we're gonna work it in there. That way it's all consolidated. Does that make sense, Greg?
I think that's smart.
Or were you not at home?
No, it doesn't make sense to me.
So-
You can say it again.
It's right here, drew it out. How and when does it come together?
Game's gonna come in
Yep.
and do innovation. First milestone. We're gonna continue to do the 8-step problem solving for problems and projects through the portal. And at some point down the road, we need to bring those two into the same platform.
Well, under game, and how do we do the AP?
I don't, okay, when you say bring them into the same platform, what I saw in SharePoint, the tool that supports a specific project, I don't know that needs to leave SharePoint. Do you? Like,
I think it does, and the reason why is because there's still improvements, right, or ideas that people have or problems that they have. They're gonna generate ideas to solve those, and it would be good to have, I'm improving a project, you got an innovation, and they're both on ID cards. How do we ever bring those together, data-wise? And have a true apple-to-apple comparison and come up with what we're gonna do in the.
So we had this conversation when you weren't here, and Sabi was here, and we were having this conversation. So like this kind of gets it. So I'm gonna put on my hat as a PMI certified project manager, right? So there's things that I know and I do that are just like frameworks or like the act of PMing, and then there's the tools I use. And like in the innovation space, this has been kind of this bone of contention for a decade, which is, hey, we come up with ideas and then we get into project mode, and some people say, well, I just want to stay in the same tool. If you have me submitting ideas into Spigot, I want to go and manage my project in Spigot. And I'm a ninja when it comes to using MS Project. Freaking ninja. And there's not a lot of people that I know that are.
I'm a per CPM guy by
Yes,
trade, buddy.
I can wield Microsoft Project like a pair of nunchucks and take out lots of bad guys.
Early start, latest start, early
Yeah.
finish, latest finish.
And that-
maximize the-
And then I've met some people who are like, yeah, I use Monday and Asana, and people who can barely use a piece of paper to keep track of what they do. Okay, so in that world, it's like, I don't want to tell you what project management tool to use.
Yeah.
And then again, as a deep practitioner in that space, it's like sometimes projects are really complicated. You need a really well done project plan. Sometimes all you need is a piece of paper. Just keep track of the 10 things that you'll need to get done and get it done. So we've created, so we advocate for use the innovation platform for what it's good at, and don't tell people to go and not use the other tools that they're good at to get the work done. And then you just say, well, how do you complement these two environments? Sometimes what you do is you do ideation up to a point, and then you just let it go. You're like, okay, we've done our job, and now you go and use whatever tools, processes, methodologies to get your thing done. And at some point, this thing hits a, success or failure or whatever. It's complete, and we did our job, and then you do your job, and then it goes off into the sunset. And how if you need to track if you want to make the connection between what we did back here and what the results were, then there's some things we can do, either by reporting or even in the game platform, the crowd vector platform. There's things that we can do to kind of like keep track of it without being responsible for execution. Okay, so like I don't have a problem using crowd vector for one thing and then having people go, well, we're going to use this whiz-bang A3 tool that we built in SharePoint or Microsoft Project or whatever. Does not concern me at all. What we discussed too is that one of the things that crowd vector can do as you're building a new application internal to your system is that we can actually create other engagement opportunities on CrowdVector that actually support your development of that tool. So we want your community of users to have a voice in terms of how that product evolves, being able to indicate, hey, you're missing a feature, or we'd like this to change, or we think this could be better, or whatever. And in CrowdVector, we can create product campaigns. So like, hey, if you want a new feature, submit your request into CrowdVector. If you have feedback on how the tool's working, we can create a space for that. We can create an FAQ so that users can submit questions and even answer each other, so we can give them an opportunity to work with each other, to share knowledge or experiences or best practices around the tool, the process. So these are things that CrowdVector is really good at, that frankly SharePoint's not really good at, or you'd have to build a custom experience for each one of those things in your SharePoint application, which is very expensive and difficult and has a maintenance cost.
Which you did for the A3.
Yes. So, but you'd be creating, you have your A3, but then you would create another version of the A3 to support product request ingest, and you'd have another module in your A3 to support community engagement and discussion. And so, like, you're complicating your product by adding these features that in CrowdVector are easy for us to spin up, maintain, and add no real cost to your program. And so this is why I say you can move your community into CrowdVector. So we have this community function in CrowdVector, and I call it supports the 5 Ps: people, places, projects, programs, and passions. MPO is probably a people category, right? It's people who have a function within the Air Force. So we could do this for security forces, we could do this for nurses, we could do this for any function within the Air Force. These are communities of people in a function of MPOs, right? Passions, RPA, or like, hey, we're all excited about RPA or UAVs or hypersonics, right? Like, you can build communities around and actually NASA does this really well. So we build a community around the MPO community, and we give them a landing page, and on that landing page we have articles, events, we have information about the A3 tool and its development. We have the FAQs, the ask us for the give us feedback section. We have the new feature request function, and when you want them to be using the A3 application, here's a link to it so that they know. So this gives them their dashboard or starting point, or it organizes the universe for the MPOs, and then but they don't have to do it all in game. We can send them other places. Does that make sense to you at all, Joe? I mean,
this is almost like the Army Knowledge Online application, right? I mean, I don't know if you guys know the AKO thing, but
AKO is.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. I mean, we built that at SCIC, so we built that based on knowledge management in this kind of system. So I'm familiar with it, and I understand it, and I like it, and I like the explanation you just gave, because that pretty much described what that KM environment should be, right? How to bring all the entities together in a shared space.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean,
as it
around the experiential activity.
Here's what I got out of that, Joe, is that innovation, we're all in.
Yeah.
As part of that, we can link you to where you need to go. If you're in the innovation space and you have a project, we can link you to the project.
Yep.
And we can move you where you need to go. But as far as the 8-step problem solving thing,
Yeah.
not in the swim lane.
Okay. And you would by extension, you'd say the same thing on continuous process improvement or re-engineering.
Right. Well, not in the CloudVector swim lane.
Yeah,
so
with
Joe,
the-
are you equating the 8-step to the A3 SharePoint tool? Are you making those, when you say 8-step, are you making those the same?
It's the same 8-step that you're gonna use in your innovation thing. It is an 8-step process. They've just customized SharePoint to look and feel like people are used to seeing.
Yeah.
Right? That's all they've done. Now, I think there's benefit in having a way in the future of having that ecosystem where all those things come together. So a leader doesn't have to go and say, what have I got an improvement, right?
Yep.
Where's all my write-ups, where are all my problems from the IG, right?
Yep.
Where are my innovations, how do I line those up and say, okay, I got some innovations that are gonna solve this, I got some improvements that are gonna solve this, why am I attacking this both ways? Right now, it's all in their head, they have no tool to help them manage the overall improving the unit.
Yeah.
That's what's
There you
missing.
go.
So-
There you go. I think
so
that's the
first-
key point, right? That's what we're trying to achieve.
So, and I don't know if I'm really answering what you just said. First of all, if you said, hey, at some point I want the E3 to be inside of Gain or inside of CrowdVector, you want to move what you have in SharePoint into CrowdVector, I would say that might be possible, but we'd have to do a lot of analysis to see what's, because like I didn't see the full demo and I haven't been through every aspect of the application, but I'm saying like I don't know if we could replicate as good of an experience in CrowdVector as what you've built on SharePoint. And I'm a huge fan of not like building custom applications, because now you own it's the life cycle of that product forever, the maintenance, the everything. That said, it still might be the right solution to keep it there, or to find some other commercial solution that does what that does but isn't CrowdVector. Okay, so again, I have no problem having more than one place or tool that people have to use to manage innovation and this problem solving methodology. But again, I'm saying like let's keep that conversation open and see if maybe we can merge those two experiences at some point.
And I think that's part of the strategic plan, right?
Yeah.
That we have to, now that we've identified the near term, what the difference between what CloudVector can and can't do and what SharePoint has, is our near term plan is it's gonna redirect them via a URL until we identify, in a year or two, when we've advanced the products a little bit more, when we come back to the drawing table and go, so what, right? Because, so I agree, so we've got SharePoint, but I was told that we're supposed to be chasing an API to make this look seamless to the users. So I don't know how that looks.
Okay. To be careful about what that means when we say an API.
Right.
What are we saying, like we want from a reporting perspective to be able to see projects in the number of projects or certain data elements from the projects in A3 and maybe stuff in Gain, and be able to see that in one singular place from maybe a reporting and metrics perspective?
Yes, and a seamless experience to the users down the road when that capability exists, that where they can go to one website and they're playing in SharePoint, but they're playing in it from whether they logged into Gain or whether they logged into SharePoint. All their data is going into, and it's all. I don't know how that works, and that's why I look to the tech experts to consult us on back from crack. You hear API. I've been hearing the acronym API thrown around for the past 2 years. What does that mean? What does that look to the end users and to us as end users too?
So we probably need to do like a kind of a tech 101 at some point to probably demystify some of these concepts.
I need to hold that, and I need to be able to brief that to Mr. Lombardi, because I have to be knowledgeable, and Bruce's more knowledgeable than I, but we all need to be knowledgeable enough to hold that conversation with Mr. Lombardi and say, that's not the plan, or that's 2 or 5 years, because those capabilities don't exist, or like I know Vision has an API, right? We just have to get on contract that they're willing to let us come play or extract that data to flow, but I don't know in SharePoint, can it do that with SharePoint? Then what's the limitations of the CloudVector technology from Germany and all that
so
type of
try to
stuff?
bring us back into where we're going, right? And right now, the short term, we need to develop Gain, right, to be that innovation tool that.
And it's an improvement tool too, because we have the Gain open call.
Yeah, I want to put a
7 hour idea pipeline.
I want to put a wrap around the A3 tool application. And that wrapper of Gain is going to do a bunch of things to support that A3 application. Okay, that's what I want to do. And then we will get to a point where we say, well, we have again other knowledge or assets, training tools, documents, or whatever, and that either those may sit in SharePoint, we just point to them, or you might move them over to Gain. We don't want them to be. We want people to be able to find them from one place, whether they're in one place or not is not is not a
So
problem.
It seems to me either whether it be the A3 CPI thing or process management design,
Mhm.
either way, GAIN needs to be around all that, right?
Yeah.
It needs to,
It's
it needs-
synthesizing all the data, yeah.
it needs to connect the people, places, and things. I'm not gonna say it needs to synthesize data.
Yep.
But, and whether or not we have APIs linked to other systems, maybe, I think that's something we need,
The
but
first thing we gotta
Yeah.
do is develop each individual capability, then we can figure out how to bring them.
how to bring it up,
Yeah.
again, Joe, I agree with that, so
So-
Okay.
I think we still need to do what you're doing with the SharePoint, and I'm, like, after yesterday, and I'm gonna even suggest, Joe, that we probably need to, bring the PML leading practice. Cause I know months ago, we were gonna do that, and then they said the capability wasn't there, but obviously they now have learned how to do it, right? So your developers have learned that now, they probably could bring, cause then we can tie, the things together, your A3 project management, the process definitions, if you will, the process list. And I think though, where this tool comes together, it's linking up with unit commanders, with MPOs, practitioners, subject matter experts that can tell us what are the gaps to go focus on, or
Yeah.
let us know which ones they think are good.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
So
does that make sense?
it's exactly right. If I
Okay.
took A3 out of here and I put RPA,
There you go.
we're never gonna build a bot builder into GAIN.
Right.
No,
Exactly, yeah.
no,
We're not
and
put
I want
automation
to
in
make
there.
this last statement, then I actually want to transition to Ty, because I actually have some slides that might help this
Okay.
conversation a little bit. But now, is there this possibility that you could iframe some experience of another application into GAIN, so that when I'm actually there and I go to another tab, the application shows up inside of the application and you could interact with it? Maybe it's actually
Yeah.
possible, but again, like that's.
Yeah, they showed that demo yesterday, in the demo yesterday.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, but they said that the capability was a little bit further out than,
Being able to
Down the
iframe
road.
their tool
No,
into something else.
it was a prototype,
yeah.
tool or something like that,
It was a prototype
yeah.
app, and that's what I'm kind of envisioning. what
Yeah.
you're
Oh yeah,
talking
yeah, yeah.
about.
When we did the yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Click on
yeah.
the screen
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
It's the
Exactly.
same concept, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's the correct connection.
Oh, I got that one right.
I need to run to the restroom real quick. And